So what I wanted to talk about is a new program, a new app. I want to preface this by saying, I know people have like a resistance to new things. Like, let's say social media, right? If there's a new social media thing, or even a new streaming thing, right? Where it's like, you know, new thing instead of Twitch, new thing instead of, you know, Twitter and all that kind of stuff. And people have that resistance because we're all inundated with apps, with social media, with all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna show you this new program, this new app, and I want you to know that I'm coming at this from the angle of it's really easy for me to recommend it when I myself believe in what it has to offer. You know, this isn't a sponsorship. This isn't anything like that. It's something where I took a look. Another streamer that I follow mentioned it in passing on Twitter. And I was like, oh, let me see. So I downloaded it. I checked it out myself. And I was like, oh, wow. This is a Discord competitor, by the way. It's called Gilded. Right away, you'll note, looks like Discord. Again, it's a Discord competitor. However, I want to go over some of the things that Gilded has to offer. So right away, here's the overview screen for your server. And you have your little about section, what your community's classified as, the members, all that kind of stuff. And then you can put your socials on it for your server. If you are a content creator, you can put all your handles up, your Twitch handle, YouTube, Twitter, etc., etc. But I want to go over just how many things they have. Channels. Everyone in Discord is used to having text channels and voice channels, right? If you go into Gilded and you create a channel, they got a bunch of them. Gilded has your chat channel. They've got one dedicated to streaming, voice. So that's basically Discord right there. And then they expand on that with calendar channels, scheduling channels to sync up scheduling for everyone, an announcements podium, which somewhat similar to Discord, but this one is dedicated, and I'll show you that in a moment. Forums, if that's what you want to do, threaded out forums, because some people still either have communities like roleplay communities where that would make sense. Lists, so a list channel where you can build off lists and check them off and things like that. A document channel where you can share and create different rich text formatted documents. And a media channel, and I'll show why that's super important in a little bit later. You know how Discord doesn't allow you to, you have to use underscore for a space bar. You have to use your dash if you want, you know, if I want a really cool channel like that in Discord, Gilded doesn't care. Look at all these spaces. And you can just do that. Tiny little quality of life thing. But one of the most exciting things are those different channel types I was talking about. So our community events that we plan and that people ask me, Shay, when's the next community event? Shay, maybe we could do this. Does that, or how about we do this the next time? Or where are we meeting? Is there URL for that? Well, here is a calendar channel. So Gilded allows you to create a channel that's solely dedicated to planning out your events on a calendar. You can obviously go forward and back. You can see previous events, all that kind of stuff. You can just go to any date. Let's say our next community event was Friday. It'll sync to whatever the server time zone is. Or you may even be able to set it to your own personal time zone. Let's say we started at 5 o'clock and I don't know, we're gonna run to 11:30. So like when we played Codenames, you could even put the URL in. If there's a place that we need to go, you know, we could do that. And it's all there for people to see. Create it, and there's the event. Within that event, you can then click on it. You can see when it is, you can see the description, all that kind of stuff, right? I can go in and edit the event. I can color code it. I can go into advanced. I can allow you to RSVP to it. I can limit the amount of attendance. Like if we're playing a certain game that only allows for 10 people, or it's like first come, first serve. I can make you guys fill out a form if I wanted, all that kind of stuff. You guys can then join the event, right? And you can say you're going, you can say, oh, I might be free, you can decline to go, all that kind of cool stuff. You can share the event. You can even take this calendar and export it if you care to your own calendar. You can take this calendar, toss it into your iPhone or Android, and get alerted when there's a community event. You can click into the event and you can leave comments on it. You can be like, this is going to be super cool. Post it up and we can have a discussion within that event if we want to. You don't have to, but it's something we can do. And it keeps it so it's not super cluttered. The other thing is there's a little upcoming tab. You can see all the upcoming events. So if we scheduled out our next 5 community events and you hit upcoming, you'd see all that. We could just do it. And that's something that this is what initially said, okay, I need to look into Guilded more. This is the one thing that drew me. And there's a heck of a lot more than this, but this is the one thing where I was like, people ask me with the community event, when is it, Shay? When is it, Shay? And because Discord only has text, unless I pin it continuously, it always gets lost, right? And people always ask. We'll start talking about, oh man, this is gonna be so cool, this is gonna be, and 25 messages will go by, and then someone will be like, oh Shay, when's the community event again? And someone will come in and be like, oh, it's Saturday at this time, whatever. You can just reference it. You can just click on the community calendar channel and reference when our events are. We can add people's birthdays. We can add people's, if someone else has a special event where they're like, oh, I'm doing like a 24 charity fundraising for a really good cause. And I'm like, wow, that sounds really cool. Let's throw it up on the community page. We can do that. Instead of using websites to create polls, exactly. It keeps it all in order. Instead of, creating straw polls on what's the next this and that and how do we do that. It's just there. It's integrated. It's amazing. That's the first thing that drew me to Guilded. Next up, list channel. You know how we have a game deals channel? There's list channels. So here's a list channel. I can add in items. And immediately this got me thinking, why don't we use this for the deals that you guys find? Humble bundles, the free epic stuff, even just Steam deals that you think are really good, you can do that. If I go onto the Epic Store, what's free right now? Rage 2, which is a pretty AAA, like that's a decent amount of money. It's free until February 25th. Great. Let's go back into Guilded and we'll say, or hell, I'll just say Rage 2 is free on Epic until February 25th. Done. And I can make that list. From there, again, you can go into a thread and comment on that list and say, like Darius, who was just talking in Twitch chat, and he was like, oh, Conan Exiles is really good. Maybe someone's played Rage, and they're like, oh, Rage is super fun, and normally is $80. And you can do that. You can have a conversation within the list. Once February 25th passes, and that deal is no longer a thing, we can just click the check mark. Deal's no longer a thing, away it goes. So we can check expired deals too by showing the completed ones, and we can be like, oh damn, I missed Rage, but like, oh, this is, and that's the biggest thing. It's exactly, Annika, it's so satisfying that things don't get drowned out anymore. I think one of the biggest limitations of Discord is that when we get a discussion going, it drowns out other things. I had to create separate channels just recently because you guys were like, hey, in the game deal channel, when someone posts a game deal and then we start talking about that game deal, nobody can see the game deal anymore, right? Or in the cooking channel, when someone posts some really yummy food and we want to see that and be like, wow, that looks really good. All it takes is 6 or 7 people to say, wow, that looks really good. And then you can't see it anymore. So that's the list channel. Speaking of cooking and food, art and images, all that, media channels are a thing. And my mind went to, again, we share art and images all the time. C7 does really good art. A lot of you guys do sketches and cool little things. Cooking and food, tons of you guys post baking, post food that you've made, all that. And it gets lost when we start talking about that. Even if we just start talking about the recipe, someone will post a baking thing, someone will go, ooh, how do you make that? They'll post out the recipe, they're like, oh cool, blah, 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 and it's gone. So, here's the media channel that you can create. Your media channel, you can just create images. And again, running theme throughout it. Someone posts up their image, and you can go into that image, and you can just go ahead, you can post a comment, you can add a reaction to the image, and it's all there. And then you can back out of it, and your image is not lost to scrolling. And if there's activity, you can go into each one. You can go into one of the ones you care about. You can go in and be like, wow, that food looks really good. I wonder if anyone's like, okay, what are we saying about this? Oh, nice. Someone showed the recipe on how to make it. And you can just go in and do that. If there's a mushroom-based meal and you're like, you know what? I really don't like mushrooms. You don't have to scroll back up through all that stuff. You can just not click into the thread. That's it. I'm really excited about that. It's the strength of this app is the fact that it feels like they've taken care in how to design this. They've taken care of how people would actually use it. And there are workarounds that we've all gotten used to, like pinning in Discord, where you pin several things that you don't want to get lost. But this just works. Gilded just organizes it in a way of, how are users actually going to use this? And what's the best way we can design it for them to do so? And I'm so happy about that. Now, of course, there's all these little things that I'm still getting to, like, within a text channel. So here's a basic text channel. From there, you can highlight over what you're talking about. And again, you can create a thread. I can click on this. And if somebody makes a thread, they can then have a conversation about something completely contained within that channel. So if you guys start talking about, something about Dungeons and Dragons, and you want to start a thread about it, just a small little conversation about, oh, my campaign's going really well, like, they ran into Strahd, he totally, he did a TPK. You can have those conversations and not have it fill up the rest of it. If you guys start talking about Hades, yeah, you can have a thread where you talk about that. And if you're involved in the conversation, see how over on the left-hand side, how I've got the little thread thing here? This works about how and there's that. If you click on that, that's a conversation you're having. And only the people involved in that thread, because you clicked into it and started talking, obviously it's important to you, it creates a little thing here for you. When you're done, we can archive the thread, or you can set it so that, like, after let's say 2 days or 24 hours with nobody talking in that thread, like let's say we have a discussion about Hades, and then 2 days later, that conversation, nobody's talking about that anymore, or we've moved on to something else. We're not talking about that thread anymore. It'll auto archive and get it out of your list so that it doesn't clutter up your sidebar. You can go ahead at any time and say, now I have the mod stuff, so I can say, I can archive it myself. But if you're involved in a chat and you're like, yeah, they keep talking about D&D, but like I've said my piece, you know, I don't want to be involved anymore, or I've got so many threads that I'm involved in, leave thread. Gone. Gone from your sidebar. It's as cluttered or as organized as you want to make it. And that's how it works for you. It still has the pinning that you guys are used to. It still has the functionality that you're used to. But then there's all these innovations that they've done that I would love to see in Discord. But Gilded said, you know what? We're gonna do it. And great. And so that's why, like I said in the beginning, I'm happy to recommend a program if I believe in it. You know, if it's something where I'm like, I feel like our community could make good use of this, and you're doing it better than the competition. Why wouldn't I recommend that? I think this would be super useful. Here's another thing. Bots. In Discord, you can create bots. In Gilded, you can create bots. But in Gilded, pretty much anyone with no experience can create a bot. Here's Decibel Dealer that I created. Let me go in and edit that. And it brings me to this screen. So I can add this. What triggers it? So if someone joins the server through any means, through an invite, through whatever, then I can add an action. I can send a message, right, to our Just Chatting channel, and I can say, welcome, the person who triggered it, to our awesome roleplay server. Hope you have a good time. Next, save, done. Done. I just built a rudimentary welcome bot, and it was built into Gilded. Save. It's if-then statements, where if something happens, then do this. And it's a bot builder that they allow you to do. You know, and there's tons of different triggers. You know, if someone deletes an item from a list, if a document's created, if I get a sub on Twitch, I could do a thing to the server, Patreon integrations, calendar events, all that stuff. And if that happens, then take this action. And it's all contextual based on the action that was taken. You can do that for so many things. You can create, you know, the rules section I have in the Discord? I can create a rules section here. I've already done it. Here's our rules copied over. And when you first come in, this is all you'll see. Once you've read the rules, you can click on this role and you can assign yourself the member role. So in MMOs, you know how you have like tank, DPS, support roles, etc. They wanted a way you can add yourself to those roles. So when you're looking for groups in games, you can say, I'm a tank. And you can add yourself to the tank role. And so when people are looking for groups, they can see all the people who have claimed that they're good at tanking, all the people who have claimed they're good at supports. But we can repurpose that to make it so that in order to have access to the rest of these channels, when you're a very new member, all you have access to is this rules channel. And then at the end, if you agree to the rules, you can click on our regular role and add yourself to the role. And boom. Instantly all the channels you'll have access to, because that's what the members are. There's applications that we can create. Servers can create applications to be a part of their server. So you can have it so where, like, if you have a roleplay server, you can ask questions to get get a sense of the style of someone's roleplay. If there's a game, you can ask what kind of roles they play, and people can submit an application to be part of your server, which you can then accept. Like I said, there's this overview screen, and this overview screen, see how we put in the community event? It shows it right there. Our latest announcement comes up, our about comes up, all of that stuff. So it just, there's an announcements channel that I can do with different ones. I'll also mention this. Remember how I just created a community events thing and then a community text thing? In the voice chatting for Gilded, built in to the voice channels is a built-in text channel. It's all organized right there. And you can also have multiple voice channels within that. I wouldn't recommend this to you guys if there were all these features and in the end I'm like, yeah, but who cares? Like, you know the kind of programs that create features that nobody asks for? They're like, hey guys, you can send out a thing to one specific spot if you tap this button, and people are like, who cares? Like, cool, but why would you build that? You know? I wouldn't be recommending this if either A, it was just features for the sake of features, but everything I've showed you guys, I hope that you look at it and can see the use, right? Like the community events on the calendar, where we can just put that in there. The fact that we can have media threads where all of your stuff doesn't get lost, where we can show people deals and not have it get lost, right? All of that, I feel, is things that we've struggled with that would be useful. They would be useful to us as a community. And then there's just all these little gravy things where, like I say, so here's a few little things I wanted to mention. So there's the voice chat with a built-in text channel. You can have multiple lobbies within the voice chat, right? You can have multiple rooms that we can just make, but it's all consolidated into one central chat here, so that, again, it doesn't clutter your channel with 7 different kinds of voice chats. And the fact that it's so similar to Discord means that you guys aren't gonna spend weeks figuring, oh, how do I do this? Oh, this is different. This is so frustrating. Why is it? It's familiar. You're gonna go on and get a grasp in like a day. So there's that. There's the stream thing. So here is a streaming channel. Once again, it has its own built-in text so that, again, it's not cluttered. Built-in voice. You can join the voice channel. We're live. I'm in the voice channel. I can start sharing my screen. I can whatever. So in here, I can create a group within my own server, okay? So let me go out to Gilded. This is the official Gilded server. And they've got subgroups, and the way that they've used it is to organize people into what they've decided to play. So PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, etc. So you've got all your stuff here, like we're used to, all your channels and everything. But then if you want to pop into the PC group, the PC group has its own set of channels and everything, like you have that. If you don't want to use it, if you think that'll clutter things, fine. But even this, consider Snake's community. Consider Arcadum's community. Where Arcadum's got what? 16 different communities going on at once, 16 different campaigns. He could organize these into Heart of Tier, into all the different groups that he has. And then within that, he could have channels, so it's not cluttering his main section. You could have different roleplay campaigns. You could have, you know, if you're a cooking server, you could have a baking group and, you know, a grilling group and all that. You can have all these different little groups with their own things. And if you don't care about that, no harm, no foul. You don't have to be a part of that group. But if you're like, oh yeah, I'm a PC gamer, I want to be part of that one. I don't want to be part of the PlayStation one. I don't own one, you know? You can just do that. And that's something that Gilded has that others don't. And it's super cool. You can organize. I can definitely see that being so helpful for people with bigger communities. For big YouTubers, content creators, streamers, dungeon masters, all of that kind of stuff. Having a big community and being able to section it off into groups of what people care about is super powerful. The disadvantage here, the sticking point is and will always be adoption, right? A lot of you guys have said, that's great. This looks super impressive, Shay. But you need people get on board. And it's true. That's always how it is, right? You're always going to have it where the new person that comes along has to prove to you why they're better, and you need people to adopt it. You need either big names, or you need enough people to say, wow, I think this does it better, and to make the switch. One of the sticking points is, you know, Discord's been around for a while, and what about the people who already have their communities on Discords, and there's all this data? It's true. And I don't have an easy answer for that, except to say that it's always going to be the case that, you know, Facebook's been around for years. A lot of data's on Facebook. And when Twitter first came around, you know, when, yeah, people used to use Skype, people used to use all these programs. And just by virtue of, well, this program's been around for 5 years and we've all been using it. Fair enough. But that can't be the only sticking point. Because if it is, then that means who is first wins. The first person we all start using that starts collecting our data, where we don't want to, you know, we don't want to move over because there's all this data over on this other program we're using. Sure. But then they're just the one you use forever? That hasn't always been the case. People switch. MSN used to be a thing. Skype used to be a thing. MySpace used to be a thing. My suggestion to large communities would be to archive their Discords. So if they were going to have a transition and enough of their community was on board, I would say have a stepped-in period where you build out your Guilded server, you have your Discord server, and you keep it so that everyone is able to use both. And after a period of time, you make it very clear to people, hey, we're switching over. Hey, this is what we're doing. Hey, this is, you know, we're going to be using Guilded. Here's the cutoff date. And everyone can use Guilded and they can also use Discord. And then after that cutoff date, you can archive. Don't delete your Discord. You can lock it down so that people can't post there anymore. So there's not new data going in there. But if someone wants to say, hey, that was a really funny meme that we posted, or hey, what about that recipe someone posted a couple years back? I can't remember. I've lost it now. I don't know what it was. I want to search it. And you can go back to Discord and it's all indexed and you still have access to the server and you can search that old data so that it's not lost, but it's archived. No new posts. And then everyone transitions over to Guilded and starts using it. The other thing I'll say is this. Guilded has all these innovative features and they have all this stuff. And I understand it's a big ask to say, hey, folks, there's this new thing I want you to be a part of, but you know, it's a new app that you've never used before, that you have to trust will take off, and that you need to create an account for. You know, I understand that that's a big ask. So I'm only asking if you guys are interested in doing this because, one, I believe in it so much. All of the channels have such uses that it's so organized and we could make such good use of them. And two, I'm coming at it from a point of innovation. Yes, Discord has been around for a long time. And yes, they are the top dog. And you need big names to adopt Guilded, and we need people to start using it. But if I were a brand new user that had no idea what Discord was and had no idea what Guilded was, I think of it like that. Who would I go with? If I was sitting there and Discord didn't have, well, we've been around forever and everyone's using us. Okay, that's fine. But let's take that away from the playing field. Nobody knows what Guilded is. Nobody knows what Discord is. And the two apps say, here's our stuff. Here's what it can do. Who would you go with? That's what makes me want to switch to Guilded. Because I look at all the things that they have and I go, damn. This could be a hell of a good thing for the community. So that's my pitch. And who knows, if all of you here said, Shay, this is stupid, we don't want to do this, then I wouldn't switch. I want to listen to my community. If you don't feel that this program is something that would be useful for us, then we won't switch. We won't do it. First thing. Second thing. I realize this might be a, well, let's do a trial. And we do it, and if it's working for us, then we'll keep using it. If it's not working, then fine. But it's also something where even the people sitting in this room that might be going, I hate this. I just want to use Discord. It's what I'm used to. I hate this. You might find that it's the same thing people have said about different social media and different apps. Eventually, if Discord doesn't make changes, if Discord doesn't add some of the innovations that Gilded has done right out of the starting gate, I feel like you're gonna need to like Gilded or make an account whether you like it or not. Because eventually, if enough people adopt this, this will take over. And I'll further bet that as Gilded gains popularity, you may in fact see features that are in Gilded right now start to get added to Discord. Because Discord's gonna look and say, oh, people are starting to take notice of this app. I guess we need media channels. I guess we need community calendars. Gilded lets you use emotes from other servers without paying for Nitro. That's enough for me. I want to make sorry, I keep saying one final point, but that's a really good point, actually. Part of Gilded's mission statement, or part of the vibe they've been putting out, is exactly that. A lot of their features, you would expect to be behind some sort of like tiered system or something like that, and they aren't. They came out with things and they said, we don't want all of these features that we've worked hard on to be behind a paywall. So if I go into, for example, the voice chat and I go into settings, I can take these voice settings and I can set the bitrate to 256 instantly. I don't need to pay. I don't need a subscription. I can just do that. Anyway, none of that is locked behind Gilded Gold. And they were very clear on that. They said, we don't want our features to be locked behind a paywall. The features that we've made for you guys, we want you to be able to use. That's why we built it. I'm really trying to just continue building. Just continue building this community and have it go forward and have it be awesome. And it's thanks to all of you guys that it just keeps being the case. You hang out with me week over week, make me smile. I'm being wholesome. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep growing. And we're gonna keep our how was your afternoon vibe. So, anyway.